All right, welcome to episode 2 of Kontota Conversations. I'm Dillyn. I'm the marketing lead here at Kontota.
And I'm Hospiliati. I'm the CEO.
Yeah, great. So this episode is we're just going to discuss company culture. So I got some questions here for Haas. I guess we'll get right into it. First, how would you define our company culture, and what do you think makes it unique?
Yeah, so I think our company culture falls on two things. One is accountability, and two is recognition. We have the highest level of standards and accountability here, but we also are very good at recognizing people for what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So accountability and recognition are the two of our main tenets of our culture.
Yeah.
And of course, our values are we have safety is our number one core value. Customer satisfaction and experience is our second core value.
Mm-hmm.
Continuous improvement is our third core value.
Mm-hmm.
And then accountability and inspiration are our fourth and fifth core values. Now, when we talk about culture, what makes us unique is our values, right? Our values are what builds our culture, right? So when we talk about safety, we only hire people who are safety minded.
Mm-hmm.
We only hire people who are great with animals, who are safe with animals, who take safety seriously. So safety is number one. Number two, customer satisfaction. We focus heavily on customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
So we focus on people that have great personalities, that can service customers, that can make a difference in a customer's experience every day. And number three is continuous improvement. We're constantly learning, constantly improving as a company. We even have group chats where anybody can propose ideas to make the company a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So this notion that we are constantly learning makes us a lot better, makes us truly better. And of course, accountability. We want to make sure that we have the highest level of accountability, because guess what? Great people want to work for great companies.
Mm-hmm.
They want to work for great companies because those great companies have highest level of standards and accountability.
Yeah.
And then finally, inspiration. At the end of the day, you've got to be inspired to show up to work. I've got to be inspired to get up every morning and come to work.
Mm-hmm.
Same with you. Same with anybody. If you're not inspired to even get off bed, if you're not even inspired to come to work, then we got bigger problems. And unfortunately, I don't know the exact stats, but most Americans hate their jobs.
It's probably over 70%.
70%. They hate their jobs. Why is that? Because there's no inspiration involved. Oh, I have to go show up to work again, and I have to do my job.
Especially, I feel like the inspiration part is a little more difficult because nowadays everybody wants to work from home.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants a remote job. So it's really hard to get inspired when you're not like for me, I get excited when I think about I get to come to work and see the people that I see and collaborate with people, even though I work alone a lot. But even so, that's a big reason why I don't prefer to work from home, which
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
So I think it's just hard to get inspired when you are remote or working by yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to be the single source of inspiration for yourself. You need other people to
Go around you.
show you, make an example. And
it's all about the energy. You show up to work, it's just stuff like this. If you have 5 people in your company, 10 people, 100 people, you show up to work and everybody's energetic, everybody's inspired, everybody's ready to go.
Yeah.
That's going to inspire you.
Yeah, it's contagious.
It's contagious.
The energy.
We went to the 10X conference, okay? It was crazy. It was nuts. Those guys had so much energy. Smith and I showed up at the conference. This is a year ago. And this was 8 a.m. As soon as we opened the door, just so much energy. I'm like, wow. It just got me going. I'm like, man, I've been living under a rock just dealing with those guys. And it was truly inspirational. We learned a lot, of course. Every conference we go to, we learn a lot. But just being around those people who are inspirational, who want more in life, it's going to inspire you.
Yeah. And
it's just like that. So after the conference, we were inspired to come back and make a lot of positive changes to make this place a better place.
Yeah.
So inspiration matters. And to your point, I've always had a hard time understanding how you can build a really good culture if everybody worked from home.
Yeah.
It's during COVID time, I understand there was a virus going around, everybody was working from home. But now I feel like at least a hybrid work environment, I feel like you need to provide flexibility, but also to build a culture, you need to also show up and meet and engage
Yeah, there are some jobs just you just need to put your head down
and just
work
grind.
by
Yeah,
yourself. But
grind by yourself.
majority of jobs,
Yeah,
you're going to be interacting with other people.
yeah. But even with those jobs, I mean, you still need to get out every once in a while and
Yeah.
talk to your colleagues, talk to other people. You know,
You still have, even in those kind of jobs, you have like your managers check
Yeah.
in on you,
Yeah.
even if you're remote. And I think it is harder to build a great culture like that when everybody is remote, but I still think it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
With modern technology, like there's Zoom calls, you can
Yeah.
still check in on people. And culture is not just about, having to be around people every day, but
Yeah.
it's like the feeling that you have when you're doing your job, when you're
Yeah.
clocking in, like it's
Yeah.
that attitude that you bring to work. So,
Yeah.
and that can happen remotely or in person.
Yeah, it makes a difference. So what really makes us unique is our values.
Yeah.
That's what we stand for. We talked about the values, safety and customer experience, which again goes back to the personality of the people that we hire.
Yeah.
Because you need to have a great personality to be able to provide an outstanding service, and also be able to like make sure you connect and build rapport with customers. So just finding those people, hiring those people with great personalities, and we can train anything. Training. I know we're a mobile dog grooming franchise business. I've always been with the mindset that we can train anybody, anything.
Yeah.
So that's never been a concern, as opposed to other philosophies out there that you need to have 50 years of experience, 20 years of experience. We can train anybody, anything. You hire people who is coachable, who's trainable, and who's willing to learn. And that's what we've done. And frankly speaking, when you look at our reviews online, people say, oh, you need to hire people with this many years experience.
Right.
As a company, we have more 5-star reviews than a lot of these companies, all of them combined.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
And we hire everybody and train everybody.
Yeah.
That's what matters. It's just the customer experience is what truly matters. Providing an outstanding service is what truly matters. And that's one of our
that's harder to train.
That's part of the culture. What's that?
That's harder to train also, I think, like what you said. But you can train anybody to groom dogs.
Right.
It's a very technical thing. It requires, you have to practice to get good at it. But the other part of that, which is like, I think a major part, is just having that innate like personality where you easily connect with people, where you just tend to care, have empathy. You can't just go groom the dog and just be like, here, and leave.
Yeah.
The customers, even if you did a wonderful haircut on the dog, the customer is probably not going to ask for you back again.
No.
So yeah, that's the whole deal, is just you have to hire people with the right personality. Who are trainable, coachable, like you said.
It cannot be transactional. As Dillyn said, you cannot be like transactional. Okay, here's your Big Mac and here's your $10. That's a transaction. You have to build rapport with customers, and to build rapport, you need to have people that have great personalities and connect with customers. And that's part of customer experience. There's a great book for all you guys watching called Unreasonable Hospitality. Great book. It talks about this guy who owns a restaurant, is one of the top restaurants in the United States. And it talks about some of the things that they do to provide an unreasonable hospitality. And that's what we try to do here at Kontota as well, is just have that unreasonable hospitality for our customers. So that way it's not a transactional experience.
Right. Yeah, that's one of my favorite books that I read that you told me about, actually. Because
great book.
Like, further than just talking about customer service, it's also a great book for anybody in business. Just, it really puts into perspective like the impact you can have on people. So
huge impact.
Great. So second question, what role does leadership play in shaping and maintaining a strong company culture? And then also, you had mentioned in one of the videos that we recorded how HR kind of implements culture. If you can also talk about the role of HR and the other leadership roles.
I think every company is going to have a leadership team, right? Whether it's, if you're a small company, you're going to have one person or two people. As you grow, you're going to have 4 or 5 people. As you grow, you're going to have middle layers of management team, of course. So leadership are the guys that are responsible for making sure everybody's aligned with the core values, making sure you're hiring people that believe in the values, and you're also parting ways with people that don't have the same values.
Right.
It's like anything that you do in life, you got to have the same values. If my values are completely different than your values, we can't build trust.
Yeah.
Trust is built based on shared values. So if your values, if you don't believe, for example, I'm just making it up, Dillyn, if you don't believe at all in safety, if you don't believe that customers need to be satisfied,
Yeah.
if you don't believe that we need to constantly improve, do you think we can build trust?
No.
Absolutely not. Same thing. So if you have someone who you bring on and they don't believe in safety, they don't believe in providing an outstanding service, an outstanding customer experience, that's it. So leadership is responsible to make sure people that you bring on, who you bring on, it always starts with who you bring on. And then people that don't belong in that culture, people that, for example, in our culture, we have those five values that we talked about: safety, customer satisfaction, continuous improvement, accountability, and inspiration.
Yeah.
If you bring on someone who doesn't have the highest level of accountability, then probably not a good fit for your culture.
Yeah.
So who sets that? Leadership. If someone is not a good fit, you've got to move on.
Right.
If someone doesn't have the same values that you set for your company, they've got to move on.
And your leaders have to set the example too.
Yeah.
And also, you can hire people who say they have those shared values, and it's possible they do. It's possible they also just tell you what you want to hear in the interview. But I think the key is also they need to take it seriously. I fully believe that everybody here values safety, right? But it's to what degree?
Right.
Because not everybody is going to take it as seriously as others. Some people, even like we say, they're supposed to drive 5 under the speed limit. They're just going to drive the speed limit or drive over the speed limit even sometimes. And that's just that there's different levels. Like you need to just take it as seriously as the leaders do. And the leaders need to show that example as well.
It all goes back to as you said, like if someone tells you, answers all the right questions, tells you everything you need to, you'd love to hear during the interview process. And we've had those people before, by the way. We hired people, they tell me all the great, and they tell me the best answer that you can ever imagine. And they start, and guess what? They're complete opposites. And you could tell immediately. You could tell immediately, like for example,
crazy. Some of the people that.
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable. Sometimes you can't make this stuff up.
That's why we do the ride along. Like some of the stuff that has happened on.
We can write a full book about this. You get all kinds of people. They apply for the job. You give them an opportunity, and it's your job as a leader to make sure you spot the red flags. You spot the red flags because guess what? And a lot of times, here's the thing. I've made this mistake many times where we hire someone because they didn't show any red flags during the interview process. And then after a few weeks, then you're like, oh shoot, this person has a lot of red flags. As a leader, it's your job to take action. It's your job to move on. It's your job to part ways. I'm a strong believer in hiring fast. People always say hire slow. If you find a good candidate that's great, hire fast. If someone is great and they fit everything that you're looking for, hire fast. But if they're not a good fit, they don't culturally fit in your company, then I'm a strong believer in parting ways faster, because then you're not wasting anybody's time. If somebody's not a good fit, if somebody is showing you red flags, if they make a mistake and you have a conversation with them and they immediately start blaming other people, that's a red flag. Because your culture says that one of our values is accountability. If someone who doesn't want to take accountability, want to blame, play the blaming game, that's a red flag.
And of course, do your due diligence, but you get a gut feeling about certain people, I think. And definitely people are going to tell you what you want to hear in the interview, but sooner or later, their true colors are going to start showing. Sometimes it's within days, sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it takes years. I mean, we've had people who have been here for a year, no problems, and then just slowly but surely things start falling apart for whatever reason. And you owe it to them too. Like, you're the one who hired them. And sometimes they don't even know that it's going to be a bad fit. So that's just your job as a leader and as the CEO, is to make those tough decisions when it's time to part ways. And you both are going to be better for it, because there's no sense in keeping someone around when they don't have a good chance to succeed here.
And honestly, HR, to answer your second question, HR plays a crucial role just making sure HR stands for human resources, right?
Right.
You need to have some kind of human resources where somebody, because not everybody's comfortable to come to me with every little issue. You
And
need
they
to have
shouldn't
someone,
either.
and they shouldn't, yeah, because they need
That's
to have
what
someone.
HR is
That's what
for.
HR is for. So if someone has true issues, problems, they go through some family events or life happens to everybody, right? You need to have some kind of an HR in place for those, to help those people out, and to have those crucial conversations, to have those, to hold everybody accountable to the highest standards. And it's critical to have HR. And I feel like we have an HR like manager now, but when I think about it now, we would have probably hired an HR manager 2 years earlier.
That is typically that is one of the first roles that I think you should hire.
Yeah,
when you start a business.
that's right. Yeah, but you just live and learn, right? So now we have an HR person.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So the next question. So how do we ensure that our culture remains strong as the company grows and new employees join the team?
Great question. Great question. You need to focus on the values. You need to focus on people that are coming into your team have same values. Because you could grow it, you can scale it. I truly believe you can have a big, amazing company with amazing culture. As long as you are truly focused on the values that you strongly believe in. So as a company, if we focus on the values that we strongly believe in, focusing on hiring those people and terminating people that are not aligned with our values, that's how you can maintain your culture.
Yeah.
If you start just like hiring warm bodies because you need a person to do this job, you're going to start failing.
Yeah.
Because you're going to start bringing anybody who doesn't believe in the same values that you believe in as a company, then it's going to truly jeopardize your company's long-term success and growth.
And we've had that issue a couple times where we've had new hires and they're just like a bad apple, basically. And if you just let that person continue to be in your company, they're just going to take a bunch of your good people with them.
Yeah.
It's happened before.
It's toxic. It's just being toxic, right? If someone is, if you spot a toxic person, first off, before they became toxic, probably something led to that toxicity, right? It wasn't like just overnight they became toxic. Now, some people are just toxic. And the way you identify those people is during the interview process, you ask them why you left each job. And those folks usually start bad-mouthing their past employers. Like heavily. I'm talking about, it's always the last employer. I've had interviews where I sit down, I'm like, why are you trying to leave your current job? Immediately, they go into a full rant about how they hate their current boss and how they hate the culture and it's not just one job, it's many jobs. If you had 10 jobs and one of them you had a bad culture, I understand. But those ones that are truly toxic, they've had multiple jobs and almost all of them were toxic.
Right.
Almost all of them had bad bosses and bad culture and bad leadership. Almost all of them. So the fastest way you can spot those people is identify those during the interview process.
Yeah. It's if every job they go to, their boss sucks and everyone's out to get them.
Yep.
Is it,
it's going to be the same thing here.
The common denominator here. Is it really the boss or is it the person?
Yeah. So if someone is toxic, as Dillyn said, they're going to start affecting other people. It's like we talk about the 10X conference. We showed up, everybody's just like happy and energetic and going nuts. And we're like, wow, this is great. This is awesome. I feel like I didn't know I was coming to a wedding party today at 8 o'clock in the morning, but it was so nice. And same thing. If you have someone who's so negative and so pessimistic and down, like they're going to be talking to other folks. And even if the other folks are completely fine, have no issues, they're going to bring in down those other people.
Yeah.
Now, the best thing if someone truly has the intention of helping, bring on those ideas to the leadership team and address those ideas, address those concerns.
Yeah.
As opposed to going around. If Dillyn, there have been times where you've been here for 3 years now, right? Where you've come to me and talked to me about some issues and challenges.
Yeah.
And then what do we do? We work on those challenges.
Yeah.
We need more people here. We need this. We need that. We work on those challenges.
Yeah.
So everything has a solution, but the way you go about it, it determines whether you're in it just to spread negativity or you're actually in it to actually help. I love people that are constantly wanting to improve and constantly wanting to make things better. That's one of our values. And we have lots of people right now in our company. Every week, we have a meeting with them every week with ops, with admin. They always bring up great ideas that we're not doing right now. that we started implementing, and things are so much better.
Yeah.
So those people are different. When someone sees challenges and issues and brings up ideas that we can improve, you want those people. I'm talking about just someone who's just talking crap the entire time. No matter what we do, everything is bad.
It's okay for you to point out problems. And sometimes it is just like venting. Sometimes it's just something really bothering you. But you can go a step beyond and think of a solution first. Think of, okay, I have this problem with the way we do this. Great. Well, maybe I can think of a solution to this by myself, and then let people know. That way, when you go to your boss and you're voicing your issues, you don't just sound like you're complaining.
Yeah.
Even if in your head you're not trying to, sometimes it comes across that way. So you should just think about, what can you do to provide a solution? And if you can't think of a solution, then maybe wait a little bit before talking to your boss about the problem.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's not as big of a deal as you think it is.
Yeah. And we had a new hire that reached out to me a few months ago, and she mentioned about something about a safety issue, which I got right on top of that immediately. That's very important.
Yeah.
She brought a concern to me immediately, and I really appreciated that. I was like, oh, this needs to be addressed immediately. So if there are things that are bothering you, just go out to your leaders and have an honest conversation. Say, I'm having this honest conversation because I'm just trying to help the company grow.
Yeah.
If you phrase it that way, that's a lot better than going around and talking crap about the leadership team and everybody else like behind them. That's going to go a much farther way. And that's the culture that we have now. We have a lot of like layers now. We have coaches and lead coaches and HR, and everybody works together to make this place a better place. If anybody has any issues, concerns, or problems, bring them on. If you have an idea that we can improve on, we even have a group chat where everybody's on it.
Yeah.
Post it. Anybody. It doesn't matter if you've been here for a month, 2 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long you've been here. Post those great ideas and let's go do them. Let's make this place a better place and improve it.
Yeah. And also, no idea is too small. I think some people might think, every idea you have has to be grand and it has to be perfectly fleshed out, and you have to know exactly how it's going to go. Sometimes you just have a little idea that you think could improve something. Just put it out there, even if nobody acts on it, maybe 2 months down the line, that problem will have grown to be a bigger problem, and you can be like, oh, I already offered this solution.
Yep.
So sometimes it's just not the right time to implement things. Sometimes there's other barriers, whatever they may be.
There's like lots of ideas that we might not be able to implement today.
Yeah.
But those ideas could be implemented 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, even a year from now.
Yeah.
But bring them on so we can hash those ideas out and come up with a game plan. Okay, 6 months from now we can do this.
Right.
That
also helps direct like the direction of the company as a whole.
Yep.
It's good to have ideas for the future.
Absolutely.
So the fourth question is, can you share a time when company culture directly impacted an employee's experience or the success of the business?
Yeah, we like there was a time where like we had a couple of employees that would call in. Right? They would call in and chronically. Yes, it wasn't like calling in just because they're sick that day. It was a constant, continuous issue. And guess what? We didn't address it on time. And because we kept calling in those great people that we had. And eventually those great people got fed up with getting called in every time.
Yeah.
Because they thought they were picking the slack of somebody else. And they had a conversation with me, and we had to immediately change. This is years ago. We had to immediately change course and have the highest level of accountability that, hey, if you're calling in chronically every single day or every single week or if you're calling in more than once a month or even more than once every 2 months, there's a problem. You got to look at your life and see how you can improve your life. And so the thing that it was on me. We should have had higher accountability in the company as many years ago. We didn't hold those people accountable, and it affected our good people.
Yeah.
So this is a prime example that accountability is important, because if you don't have the highest level of standards and accountability, the great people are not going to work for you.
Yeah.
The great people want to work in places that have highest level of standards and accountability. If great people are seeing people are getting away with anything, with a murder without any accountability, they're like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Because great people want to be around great people.
I'm sure like a lot of people have had that same experience, like in whatever job. Like there's always, a few employees who just don't do their part of the job. And then, you or somebody else, because you are that kind of person who wants to make sure everything is getting done. You start picking up their slack. In most companies, you're not going to be recognized for that. And that person who's not doing their job is not going to get penalized. I'm talking about like most like retail jobs, like corporate type of jobs, or it's going to go on for a really long time before anyone notices. So I think that's something that also makes us different here, is that we really try to nip those things in the bud immediately. As soon as, which is something, like you said, we weren't doing.
We were not doing
years ago. And that we saw how much of an effect that had on our good employees, because in our mind, it was great. We can rely on these employees if we need them. But in their minds, it was, how is this fair that I'm being called in every week, even though I always show up and do my job how I'm supposed to do it? It's not fair. Life isn't fair, but I think part of your job as a leader is to try to make things
as fair as possible. Like part of your job, as Dillyn said, is to make things. There are going to be some unfair situations that are out of your control, but your job is to make things as fair as possible, and that's critical. And also, you set an example that, hey, just calling in every day is unacceptable. If you have a medical issue, if you have someone like that, we'll work with you. But in terms of just calling in every day because you want to party all night the night before, that's not an excused absence. And when you set an example and hold people accountable, the great people are going to see it. So things that we tolerated 5 years ago, 4 years ago, we would not tolerate for an hour here. It's just like
some of the people we had working here.
We're just a different company now. Completely different company. From every perspective you look at it, it's a different company, and we're gonna keep getting better and better. And that just goes back to the third core value. We're constantly improving, constantly making things better.
And I also wanted to mention a point too. If you do have an employee who usually is really good and all of a sudden they start having issues and they're calling in a lot, then you should probably just check in with them and make sure they're doing okay. Because sometimes it is, like you said, just a life event, mental illness happens, whatever, family emergencies, that kind of stuff. But you also want to make sure that you have that kind of culture where your employees feel like, if they have an issue, they can come to you and they'll be able to take some time off or do whatever they need to do to get it resolved. And that way you don't have to worry about it affecting other employees, or you don't have to worry about them feeling like they're not supported.
We've worked with a lot of people that have had some issues in the past. They've been here for a year or two, and they went through a phase in their life where they were struggling with different things, breakups, marriage, deaths in the family, stuff like that. And we're going to be there for them, as it's the right thing to do. As a business, it's the right ethical thing to do. Be there for people that go through phases in their lives, which I could one day go through that phase myself. It could happen to the best of us. It's just the key is just getting to the bottom of it. Like, what is going on? What can we do to help? These are different than people that are just like calling in every week. I mean, this is what Dillyn is saying is completely like different than people that are just don't hold themselves accountable.
So fifth question: what specific advice would you give to other leaders trying to build a positive and lasting culture?
I would say focus on three things. One, your values, your core values. Set your core values immediately from day one. Number two, focus on what is the mission of the company and make sure people are aligned with that mission. And number three, focus on what's the vision. Where is the company headed? And also what's in it for them. What's in it for Dillyn to be here? What's in it for everybody, every employee that we have here to be here? Focus on that. Those three things: values, set clear values, mission, and vision. And your vision is your big, hairy, audacious goal. If you guys read the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, he talks about it. Big, hairy, audacious goal. What is your big, hairy, audacious goal? What is your vision for your company? And also, great, this company wants to be number one by this time. That's a great vision. That's a great, big, hairy, audacious goal, BHAG. But what's in it for your employees? What's in it for them? Why should they be working for you? Why? You need to be asking those questions. You need to have an employee value proposition. We have a video that says employee value proposition, what we post, where we send it to every single before we hire someone, before they even come for the interview, we send them that video to watch. Here, these are our culture. These are what we stand for. What's in it? What's in it for them? But just like when an employee evaluates a company, or when a company evaluates an employee, also needs to evaluate a company.
Right.
Prior to, I love people when people come for an interview, where they're prepared, where they have a list of questions, where they ask me. I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I know they've done the research. They've looked at our reviews. They've looked at everything that like about us pretty much. And that's critical. That's critical for those employees to do. So yeah, so values, mission, and vision. And that's how you can really attract and retain top talents.
Yeah. And you can outline your values, you can outline your mission and your vision, but you have to make sure that everything you do within your business is pointing towards that goal.
Yep.
You have to first, say it, write it down, but you have to actually follow it and put your words into action.
Yep.
So, and your employees have to feel that from you.
Yep.
You know, if you're just telling them stuff, but your actions don't match your words, they're going to realize that.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you preach safety every day, and then
you go and get in 5 speeding tickets.
Exactly. You got bigger problems. So you need, as Dillyn said, you need to make sure you're enforcing it too. And you're not just saying, oh, safety is important to us and not enforcing on it. You know? So
great. And what are some signs that a company's culture might be struggling, and how can leaders address them?
Great question. Attrition. If you have a high attrition, it means the company culture is not good.
Yeah.
If you have a high attrition, usually it means you haven't done a good job finding the right people for the job. That's number one. And number two, you might have done a good job finding the right people for the job, but you have a crappy culture.
Yeah.
And guess what happens when there's people leave crappy cultures, people leave crappy bosses. So if the culture is, if you have a high attrition rate, if your attrition rate is 50%, just work on it. Find out what's going on, find out what you can do to make the culture better, and work on the attrition rates.
Yeah.
Ideally, you want to get to the point that you're less than 10% attrition rate.
Yeah.
At that point, when people leave, they don't leave because of bad bosses or bad culture.
Yeah.
And number two, you want to focus on leaders. A lot of times as the company grows, you're going to have leaders in charge of departments. You want to make sure those leaders truly have leadership abilities, truly have leadership qualities. Because if you hire someone who doesn't have leadership qualities, then your company's not going to do well.
Yeah.
The example that I always give is if you hire if you promote someone from within to become a leader, and that person has not been trained on leadership qualities, on leadership skills, they're not going to do well.
Yeah.
They're great at the job. They're great at booking appointments. They're great at sales. They're great at marketing. They're great at a lot of things that they do. But when it comes to leadership and managing people, that's a totally different ballgame right here.
Yeah.
So they have to be trained on leadership before you promote them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to be, other people will be like reporting to that person, and they're not going to be happy.
That's a mistake that I think a lot of companies make.
A lot of companies make. Yeah.
They have this great employee who's just like knocking it out of the park with their job. Like maybe you have a salesperson who's just like beating like all of the records.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this person is an obvious choice for sales manager.
Yeah.
You promote them, and then,
next thing,
one, you lost that great salesperson, and two, now all of your other salespeople are out of a manager.
Yeah.
So it's not just always about who's great at their job. Some people are really great at the tasks of their job, but managing, like you said, it's a completely different position.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they might have to know how to do the job of the people they're managing.
Yep.
That's an important part of it, I think, but they also have to know how to be a manager, and it is part of your job to provide those skills too. If you have somebody that you think has a lot of potential and you think maybe they just need some extra training, you need to provide them some extra training.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And don't just throw them into the deep end and hope they can swim.
Yep.
So,
and here's the thing, managers focus on tasks.
Yeah.
Leaders focus on people.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to make sure you find a leader.
Yeah.
Not just a manager who can focus on different tasks and accomplish different things. Those are important, but what's really important is when you have someone leading a department, they're focusing a lot on people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a critical aspect.
Yeah, definitely. How do hiring and onboarding practices influence company culture from day one?
critical. Another mistake that we had is we did not put enough emphasis on onboarding. Now our onboarding process is very extensive. Day one,
Yeah.
they come into our office, they spend a few hours with the HR, go through every single aspect. They go through very intensive onboarding process, and they start watching lots of videos, and that's been a huge game changer. Before we just start someone, all right, just go tag along with this person and good luck. But everything matters when someone starts. Let's just say if someone is at the office, for example, if you're starting for an office person, day one, do they have their computer ready? Do they have their credentials ready? Do they have their app set up? Do they have everything needs to be set up and organized? The last thing you want to do, hire someone who's great, and then guess what? Oh, let me go grab your computer. Let me see if I can find your computer. That's not going to work. Great people want to work for great companies, and those great companies have their act together.
And you also, that's part of the hiring process too, is communicating those expectations, which is also part of the onboarding, right? It's like some people are, if they're expecting to come work for a new startup company or a small business, some of those things are going to be expected. They're not going to expect you to be as organized as like Starbucks would be, for example. But if you preach all this stuff in the interview and talking about how great and established your company is, and then they come in and the office is like one room and there's 7 people in there, they probably weren't expecting that from the interview. They're expecting they're going to have their own cubicle, their own desk. So, you have to make sure that they're prepared. And then also, I think a big part of onboarding is it's like an extension of the hiring process in a way. It gives them a chance to really think about, as they learn more about the company through onboarding, is this the right place for me? And then you also get to see how they're interacting with people, see how they're completing their onboarding tasks. And maybe there are some red flags that'll show up that were missed in the interview process. So it's really important to pay attention at that stage. And our onboarding process has changed a lot, and
dramatically.
It's going to cost more time and it costs more money to have a longer onboarding process, but it pays off.
It pays off
because now we can have, like, our new hires, they go out first day grooming, they're getting 5-star reviews. So it's so much more worth it just to spend that extra time and money to make sure that they're really prepared.
Spending the extra time, spending the extra money, that's retention, right? Versus someone who you're just starting and they haven't been trained properly, they haven't been gone through all the systems and processes that we have. That person is not going to be as loyal to you. Why should they?
Right.
If they show up and it's just a dumpster fire when everything is disorganized, they're going to be like, why did I sign up for this job? They don't like that. They want to work for it, especially if they're great. If you want to attract and retain great talents, you need to be organized. You need to have everything systematic, processes in place. That way when someone comes in, they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to come in. I'm getting a laptop from day one. I've got this, I've got that. These are the things that, again, as a small business, you're not going to have all these things day one. But these are the things that you need to develop immediately and invest the time and money in onboarding. Because that's your people. Your people are your biggest asset of your company. That's a company is simply an assembly of people. That's all a company is. So if a company is an assembly of people, you need to make sure you provide proper onboarding and processes and systems for your new hires.
Definitely. And also, it's going back to like the culture, longer onboarding process. It gives more time for the culture to sink into that person and really get ingrained. If you hire somebody and the next day they're out talking to customers on their own, they're definitely not putting forward your company's culture. So unless they just innately have that, but there's always going to be things that they need to be trained on. So
that's right.
And the last question, if you could improve one aspect of our current company culture, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. I would say speed of implementation. That's one thing that I would focus on as a company. We come up with a lot of great ideas as a company, but we need to do a better job with having some more systems and processes to implement those ideas faster. A lot of times I get pulled into different directions as we grow, and I need to come up with a better system and process where an idea is proposed. We have a team of people evaluating the idea and then implementing it. That's one thing that I would need, that I think we can improve as a company.
Yeah,
Which
that'd be great.
I don't think we've done a good job on the speed of implementation. We implement stuff, we make things
Right.
better, but how fast do we do it? That's a different story. So we need to
Yeah.
focus on that.
I think it also, because you are like the top guy right now,
Yeah.
and you are involved in a lot of the decisions.
Yeah.
Like when we have ideas, or when somebody has an idea, you end up having to be involved in some way or another, whether it probably costs money to implement the idea or
Yeah.
some other thing. So I think figuring out like specifically when you need to be involved and when you can maybe say, okay, like just try it and we can see if it works or not.
Works or not. Yeah.
Because I think honestly, like not all of the ideas are going to work out. So the quicker we can just try them
it.
out and
I agree.
see if it is
The better
worth
off.
it or not,
The better off
we are. So,
I agree.
And then people will just naturally learn what ideas are good and bad
versus
through trial and error.
Trial and error. Yeah. It's like A/B testing. You're gonna try to do this thing and see which one works.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Is that it?
That's all my questions.
That's all the questions.
Do you have anything else you wanted to?
No, not really. Honestly, as I said, if you're starting out, if you're a new company, just focus on culture. Because once you set your culture straight, the next thing scaling will come after that.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on who you bring onto your team. Focus on, hiring great people. Not just, don't settle for good, hire great people. And then once you attract and retain great people, your company will automatically grow.
Yeah.
You're going to have a much easier time. And don't settle for anything less than great. Don't settle for good. Don't say, oh, this is good enough. You're not going to scale and have a successful business by having just good enough kind of culture.
Yeah.
You need to have a great culture, great people, great processes, great systems.
Yeah.
And if you set the bar standards high and you have the highest level of accountability, I promise you're going to attract a lot of great people.
Yeah.
A lot of great talents. They want to, because those great people want to be around great people. Let's talk about, again, go back to 10X, showing up at 10X.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Everybody's so energetic and so pumped up.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you like, oh, yeah, I want to do this. It makes you excited. It makes you want to keep, because you're around those people. You're around those great people,
And also just, if you are just starting a business, like if you're a small business owner or you're not that established yet, it can also be overwhelming to think about all the things that need improving. So just pick one thing. Pick the one thing that keeps you up the most at night and just start working on that first. Once you get that in a better place, then you can move on to the next thing, because you're not going to be able to improve everything at once. You're just going to get stuck.
Yep.
You need to pick one thing, improve it, and then move on to the next.
Yep. And just little improvements over time, just 1% improvement over time, compounded daily.
Yeah.
It's going to be a huge impact. 1% a day for 365 days. That's 38% improvement that you just made. Just those little improvements over time makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Don't underestimate those. You don't have to make a drastic difference all of a sudden. You can just make little improvements over time.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, after 1 year, 12 months, you're going to see a major difference.
Yeah. And you can hire people to help you.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Kontota Conversations.
Yes. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you like the podcast, click on subscribe now.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the channel.